Check my YouTube channel, subscribe, and share.
Welcome, everyone, to Kimberly Speaking podcast. And today we have a special guest, Miss Shay Johnson, who is the host of With Love Shay podcast. You can find that on Spotify. She is also the co-founder of High Point Fashion Week. She's a mental health advocate. She is a mental health first aid instructor, family and child specialist with Pinnacle Family Services, and founder of the Balanced Box Curator, Belle of the Ball Cuator. Welcome, everybody, Miss Shay Johnson.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Great. So first, I want to dive in, since it is Mental Health Awareness Month, I want to dive into you being a mental health advocate. So tell me what drove you to doing that? What is your purpose? What was your inspiration for just aspiring to bring awareness to mental health?
So it really started like when I was really young. Growing up, I was always the go-to person. Like people wanted to talk to me about their problems and I would listen because that's just who I was as a person. And then, I graduated from high school, decided I was going to go to college. I'm going to be a successful lawyer, or so I thought. And then I get to school and I did not like anything about law. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? So I found a psychology class. We all have to take a preliminary course, fell in love with psychology, decided, okay, this is my career path. And so it's just been gung-ho ever since then. Mental health, how the brain thinks, how people act. I always wanted to know more, what make people tick. So here I am.
That is so crazy. That is similar to my story. So I started out wanting to be a nurse. Girl, that ended immediately.
Yes.
Because I just, you can't have a lot of empathy and then work in patient care. It's just not going to be a good fit. And then I found myself going to school for psychology. I've just always been interested in, mental health, what makes people do the things that they do, which led me to get my bachelor's in psychology as well. So that's crazy that we would, be on the same path. So in your studies with psychology, what do you think has, or I'll say this, what do you think is the biggest obstacle in mental health today?
So there's two ways that we can look at it. For me, I look at it like the big umbrella. What's the issue? The issue is lack of resources. A lot of people have issues, but they don't know how to seek help. And then when you narrow it down to, your world, your bubble, me, I'm African American, I'm a woman. And so we've always been taught, what happens in the house, good, bad, or indifferent, stays in the house. And so we've conditioned ourselves as a community to not seek help because it's shunned upon. And so two extremes, however, the resources are there. We just have to want to get the help.
Yeah, I agree. And, sadly, that is so true. For some reason in the African American community, things are swept under the rug, which just is a domino effect. And it just leads to, problem after problem after problem when we are, dealing with those issues and we don't actually deal with them. And we're like, they're in the back of our mind. It just causes other areas of our life to suffer. Exactly. And that's a big thing that I'm on too, as well as, the trauma that we deal with, your childhood. All those things play a major part into who you are as an adult, how you function as an adult, and how you function in other relationships. I think it's so important that we do bring awareness to mental health. And a lot of people don't even know that they're struggling with it. I've seen many people who I feel like, I can look and say, okay, that looks like you're bipolar, or you're doing with, this or that. And you don't even realize it. They think it's just everyday, attitudes, mood swings, things that we're dealing with.
Right.
I was on a website recently and I was, I took a stress test, and, you could take those tests to see, and it was like, yeah, you have a high level of stress. And I'm like, what? Not realizing, but, day to day, things just cause us to, get burnt out at the end of the day. We're not taking that time to take care of ourselves, especially as women, we as mothers, wives, we're so busy taking care of everybody else. We have to take care of ourselves first, which is a good thing. So let's talk about this. I don't want to switch gears too too much, but I do want to talk about your position as a family and child specialist with Pinnacle Family Services. So tell me more about that, and what is your role, and what do you do?
So yeah, with Pinnacle Family Services, I'm just that family and child therapist, family and child specialist. And so I work with youth that are at risk for placement in foster care or juvenile justice or whatever the extreme circumstances is. And I come in and I try to help them to prevent separation within the home. And so, you know, I see all types of people, Black, white, Hispanic, you know, blended families, everything. And so I'm very grateful for my role because I get to come in and kind of help. I call myself the superhero, you know, try to turn what was so they consider to be bad and try to make it better. And so the kids are amazing. You know, some of these kids have gone through so much so early in life. And it's just like, I should be taking lessons from you. Like, how have you been able to survive all of this? So, you know, every day is different. I love my role, a lot of long hours, but I would not change it for anything.
Oh man, that is awesome. You know, that is so needed. In this world, we have so many kids that are suffering, that have suffered. And like you said, they go through so many things. And there's so many obstacles to them, you know, becoming successful, you know, having full lives because of the stuff that they've dealt with in their past. And it is just so sad, you know, that a lot of them go through these things. And it's really great that that's what you're doing because it is so needed. And I actually believe we need more people in these roles because it's so many kids that need this help.
Absolutely.
And I just think that's awesome. And it's so funny that you were going to school for law, but you know, God had another purpose. So he put you in this position to help his people, to help our kids. So that's awesome. And it just sounds like purpose to me. So I feel like that's what you're doing. You're walking in your purpose. And I want to ask you what, you know, in psychology, there are different avenues you could have taken. You could have been marriage specialist, you know, all these other different things. What led you to ultimately choosing this path?
So I've always been a family-oriented person. I mean, you know me, you know, we're from the same area. So, you know, I have a small family, which is me and my sister. So I've always really really appreciated family. And so it was no brainer when it was time to pick like a specialization. I knew I wanted to do something within the family. And so because I love children, I naturally gravitated towards the children. But I always wanted to do whatever it took, you know, to make sure that the family was together because we don't see that a lot in our community. And I'm like, I'm going to be the change, you know, to keep the family together.
So I know you mentioned that there aren't a lot of resources, you know, in communities, you know, for people today. What are some of the resources that you suggest and that you recommend?
So a lot of resources that I recommend are those that are funded by the state or the county. And sometimes, you know, it's holistic stuff. Church can be a form of therapy. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I believe in God and that's all I need. Well, that's great. God is amazing. We love God. However, you also need to look at medication management. If you have a mental health disorder that you need medication for, and it's okay to seek therapy. So look at finding a therapist. And, you know, for people who just need like detoxing with alcohol and drugs, it's okay to go to a recovery center. So all of those resources that are available to you, I tell people all the time, there's no one size fit all treatment plan. You have to do what works for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, it's sad that a lot of people feel like, well, all you need is Jesus. Yes, we do need him. He is wonderful.
Right.
However, he put people in place. He put things in place, resources in place to help you in addition, because sometimes you may need more.
Right.
You know, so I don't feel like he would make psychologists and psychiatry and all these things just for you to not go and utilize these resources. You know, and there's such a stigma on therapy and, you know, all this stuff, but it is so needed. And I feel like it doesn't even have to be anything wrong for you to go to therapy. Sometimes you just need, you know, someone to talk things out with. You know, I'm a big advocate of therapy. You know, I've done therapy just for different things. And it is so freeing. And, I talk about that in my book as well. We really have to understand that sometimes you need extra help, not because you're crazy or you need this or you need that. You just need to talk out things. You need to have a non-biased person to listen to you, to give you, instruction, give you resources, give you things to help you to get over some things or to, get better with some things.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean something's wrong. Maybe you want to get better. Maybe you want to be a better mother. Maybe you want to be a better wife or a better person just in general. Therapy just really helps you unpack, trauma, childhood things that you don't even realize that affects you or that is a trigger, until you're an adult and you're like, wait a minute, what is going on? Things you don't realize. And one of the things that I realized when I got married, things you think that you're over or you're healed from, you're not actually healed. So something may trigger you. You're like, wait a minute now, I'm over that, But it brings up those issues. It brings up those triggers that you thought were long gone, but they're actually not.
Right.
So, and that's why I'm a big advocate of, couples therapy, marriage therapy. And it doesn't have to be anything wrong, just to maintain, to build and strengthen what you already have.
Right.
So I want to talk about shifting gears a little bit.
Okay.
Your podcast, With Love, Shay.
Yes.
So tell me the inspiration behind that. Tell me what brought that into fruition.
Yeah.
Give me all the tea.
All the tea. Okay, so here it goes. You ready?
I'm ready.
So With Love Shay came about in 2020. COVID was the inspiration behind my podcast. Me being in therapy, being in mental health, I knew what it felt like to be able to help people.
Yes.
But here I am, bubbly, outgoing, and we're told you have to stay at home, shut down, you can't go anywhere. And so for me, I've always dealt with anxiety off and on all my life, but with COVID, it was amplified. And I guess it was because we were made to be by ourselves, and that was overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
So I started journaling. I started writing things that I tell my clients, started writing, started journaling. And then I'm like, you said you wanted to do a podcast, but you didn't have time. Now you have nothing but time. So how serious are you? And so I did a demo. I put it out on Facebook, like the voice clips, just to see if people would be interested in it. Great feedback. And so that was my signal to go. And here we are a year later.
That is crazy. I'm telling you, COVID, I understand. It was horrible. It was a horrible time, in the world. However, I was talking with someone else. It birthed so many things that people were supposed to do, but never had the time to do. I was telling someone I finished my book. I started my podcast. I did so many things that were just unfinished and I didn't have the time to do. Whereas I was able to sit down like, okay, well, what can I do now? I'm going to finish all these things that I started that I've gotten into and haven't finished. And it just really gives you time to sit and think and just do the things that you need to do.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people who, they excelled during COVID. They were able to, birth businesses, write books, do a lot of the things that they didn't have time to do. So while it was a bad, thing, it birthed good things. And you know what Romans 8:28 says? All things work together. It was a bad thing, but it birthed some good things.
Absolutely.
For, some people. And, we don't want to make light of it because it was horrible. It was a pandemic. But you got to look beyond that. You have to see what God did in spite of, this tragedy. So, also, I know that you are the co-founder of High Point Fashion Week. So how did you get into fashion, girl?
So I've always loved fashion. I mean, I've always loved to look cute, keep it fly, keep it fancy. And so it was just one of those, things that it's like, I always said mental health was my serious job. Like that's my profession. That's my bread and butter. But if I had to live like my life any kind of way, I will always want to be a fashion designer. And so I kind of took that inspiration and was like, what can I do that's lighthearted, that's fun, that still brings the family together? And I came up with fashion shows. So it was kind of like, again, I'm working for the community, but it's fun.
Absolutely. So how often do you hold these fashion shows, and how do you get the word out to people? How you let people know? How are you, getting people to come model for you?
Yeah.
What is your process?
So when I first started in 2019, I actually was following the lead of my partner at the time because he was doing adult shows. And again, kids, overwhelming. Nobody wants to work with them. And I'm like, I'll take it on the challenge because why not? So we started with that. And so I kind of just built off of his audience. And then from there, I decided I wanted to do more shows because it was fun. It was great. And so I did a show in 2020, 2021. Amazing. Okay. After that, we decided, okay, we've done shows separately. Let's work together. So we found it, we found it High Point Fashion Week. And so that process has been amazing. The city has been receptive. We host casting calls, social media presence, of course, is important. Word of mouth, news, radio, we do it all. We want people to know that there's something here in the city that you can partake in. And it's been amazing.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. So do you see this, going to other states, other cities? Like what's your plan for it? What's your vision?
All right, so I'm about to drop the mic on you. So we actually are currently working right now on Infield Fashion Week. So Infield will have a fashion week starting next year. We've spoken to the mayor. We've gotten the approval from the city. So I will be hosting, producing the first fashion week for Infield in 2024.
Okay, that is awesome. See, yes. I knew it. I felt like, I'm like, yes. Okay, when you have success in the area, like you got to bring that to other areas because they need that. Infield, just bring all that culture, bring all that down there. They need that, positivity, positive things going on, for the community. So that is awesome.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm like, I've done it in every other place. Why not bring it home? So I'm so excited about this.
That is so great. And offline, though, I want to connect with you. I'm going to connect you with this lady that I know that wants to get into doing fashion shows and all that type of thing. And I immediately thought of you. I was like, oh, I got somebody for you. Okay. So I'm going to put you guys into connection with each other so you guys can map that out. Maybe you can mentor her and just give her some pointers, lead her in the right direction. Okay. So the Balanced Box Curator. Tell me more.
So the Balanced Box actually is something that I curated. Again, mental health. I love mental health. Like that's my life. That's what I do. Yeah. So the Balanced Box is a self-care box that's catered to mental health awareness. Mm-hmm. And so when I came up with this concept, again, during COVID, I had nothing but time. I noticed that a lot of people were struggling, with their mental health. Yeah. And again, lack of resources, not knowing where to go, telehealth, what is that? Yeah. I don't know if it's secure. So people were just not getting the help that they needed, but they were ordering things. So I said, what if I created something like Amazon, like Shein, where you can get the resources you need for your mental health delivered to your door. And so that is what the Balanced Box is.
Girl, that is awesome. Look at you. Purpose. Girl, you better walk in it.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
Yes, I'm excited about it. I sat on it for a while and I'm like, Lord, when is it going to be time? And he's like, just be patient. And COVID, and it's like mental health awareness skyrocketed. And I'm like, it's time.
Yeah, it was a really tough time for a lot of people. I would say for myself, I don't think I struggled with it that much. The main thing that I struggled with was not being able to go to the gym, because I was trying to, stay fit and keep the pounds off. It just gets harder as you get older as women, we like, forever trying to lose weight or stay in shape, but just to be healthy, just to make sure that you're being physically active. So that was a hard thing for me. I tried to work out at home and, find little tracks to walk on where you're not really, in with a lot of people. You have the outside, you can kind of be your 6 feet. And, that was one thing that did help me. And I think being able to do that was my outlet, getting out of the house, walking around the track, doing things like that, trying to stay fit. Being able to binge watch shows and, just do those things that you normally don't have time to do. So it wasn't that bad. I did hate, all the stuff that was going on. That was a little hard, I think, for people to, digest or to deal with, all the death, all the sickness, people losing loved ones, that was like super hard. It was just really hard. It's so good that you were able to put those things into motion. Now with this box, are there specific things that already comes in it, or is it personalized based on the person and what they order?
Yes, so there's specific things that come in it. There's 7 categories that I try to cover. And so the premise of the box is you have a journal, because I truly believe if you write it down and you manifest it, it will come to pass. So you have a journal, you have a pen. We found that aromatherapy was very helpful for people, especially depression and anxiety during COVID. So there's a signature candle that will be in there. We also have affirmation cards. I'm big on affirmations. I do those with my children at home and with my clients. And so we know that if you speak it, it will come to pass. So we put that in there. And then the final thing in there is you can choose to have either sage, because that was very popular. People wanted to clear their space. Or if you chose to like really tap into like crystal healing, you can do crystals as well. So it's a lot of different things in there for you, trying to cover the whole spectrum of what holistic healing is, but still making mental health the focus.
Man, that is absolutely awesome. And you got to give our guys the information before we get off today of where they can order this box, where they can get this stuff, because it is absolutely imperative. Now, for yourself, what do you do to maintain your sanity? What are some of your practices? I know you mentioned, speaking and journaling and affirmations and all those things are absolutely correct. You definitely have to do those things.
Right.
So what are some other things that you do in addition to those?
So most recently, what I've learned about myself is sometimes I have to just unplug, and people, they get frustrated with me when I do that, but I have to for my own mental sanity. So unplugging for me really is like disconnecting from the world. So like phone, social media, I just need that space and that time to really sit with myself. So that's really a major thing for me. And I find that I do it often, maybe 2 to 3 times out the year, no particular time of year, but I just have to do that. And then I also try to work out. I love to work out. So I'm doing some type of cardio activity as often as I can. And then I love to travel. So if I can go on a trip, water preferably, I love the water, I'm happy. So those are my self-care methods that work for me.
Yeah, you said a lot of things that I do as well. Like I love to travel. I love to unplug. Sometimes you just gotta get alone and just kind of like shut down. Not really shut down, but just shut out. We try to go. Sometimes society will have us think that if you're not actively doing something all the time, you're not being productive, or you're lazy, or you're this, or you're that. But you gotta rest, man. You have to rest. Stress is like one of the number one killers today. Stress, heart attacks, nervous breakdowns. Like you really have to unplug, and you have to give your mind and your body rest. And you can't just be 100% all the time. And I used to really struggle with that. Like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm not this, I'm not that. But honey, age will let you know. Listen. Sit it down.
Right.
You need to sit down.
Right.
You gotta unplug. And I'm learning that more, now. Even when I have a lot of things going, I'm like, okay, this week is like super overwhelming. I have all these things to do, all these goals I want to accomplish. I have to just be still sometimes. And like,
Mhm.
I'm not doing anything this week. I'm not doing anything today. I'm just going to rest, like give my body rest.
Yes.
I know you mentioned the power of writing the things down. And then we do know that in the Bible it says, write the vision and make it plain.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that you have seen come into fruition that you've written down, that you manifested?
Mm-hmm. Everything really in my life over the last 5 years, I've written it down and it's come to pass. My vehicle, my business, wanted to do speaking engagements. I remember last year I wrote that I wanted to do 3 speaking engagements because I was like, oh, I'll start, I'm new to public speaking, but I'll start light. 3 speaking engagements is what I wrote down. I ended up with 6. And so it's like anything that I really write down, because I know me, I'm a master manifester. So if I write it down, it's going to happen. And so
master manifester, girl, you better say that.
I mean, that's just the power of who I am as a person. And so it's not, it's not cocky, it's not arrogant. It's just I know me and I know my power. And so everything, school, when I said I wanted to go back to school because I sat out for a bit because I wanted to be a mom. Like I'm gonna go back to school. Financially, I wasn't ready to pay for it, but I was afforded a scholarship. And so it's just like, everything that I said I want to do, it may not happen exactly when I want it to happen, but it happens.
Yeah.
So
there's always God's timing is our timing. We have our list of things, how we want it to happen, when we want it to happen. Sometimes he does it another way. Sometimes he does it when he wants to do it. We just have to move in God's timing. But that is awesome. And I think that is so inspiring to people out there, because I feel like the enemy will try to shut you up. He would try to send you, negative voices, people that will discourage you. And you have to think those positive things. You have to, like you said, affirmations, say it, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So what are you telling yourself? What are you saying about yourself?
Right.
And that's another thing. He'll trick you into saying things to mess up your destiny and your future. And you did it. Because you're speaking those things that be not as though they are. So what are you speaking? Are you speaking positivity, or are you speaking negativity? Are you speaking purpose, or are you speaking doom?
Right.
And that's one of the things I've always been a big fan of. I'll speak the things that haven't even happened yet. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not lying. That's faith, honey. I believe God and I have faith. And without faith, it's impossible to please him. And faith is how it works. So you got to speak it, but you also have to move in a way as if you're moving towards it.
Exactly. And that's the part that people miss.
Yes, absolutely. You can speak it all day, but he's just not going to throw it in your lap. You got to make some moves. You got to move toward it, like as if you believe what you're speaking. So I think that is so awesome, and like that's just it's wonderful. Like just to hear what you're doing in the community, at work, on the side, on your own. Do you see yourself maybe starting your own business where mental health is concerned? Like, maybe being a counselor, having your own practice. Like, what do you see as far as mental health for your future?
So yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to have my own practice. I actually am looking at going back to school again.
Okay.
I don't know why. Going back to school again. I want to pursue my PhD in counseling education because I want to have, multiple campuses, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. I want to be able to reach my people. And I know that I'm only one person, but if I put it in position and put it in play, I can hire the help. So that is something I want to do. I also want to create a kids yoga station, yoga center, because yoga is powerful and it's one of the more holistic practices that kids can do that is easy.
Yeah.
And I also want to look at doing like I said tiny homes, but I want to be therapeutic homes for people who are transitioning out of detox, out of recovery, out of halfway houses. Come into this village and get everything that you need here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's absolutely needed. It's hard for people in those circumstances to, migrate back into the real world, as we say, and just to get back into the flow, to have the resources, the support they need, because the support is like one of the main things they need. And a lot of people don't have that. You know, a lot of people in those situations, you know, maybe their family doesn't support them anymore. They don't have any more family, or they're in a, you know, a location where their family is not there and they need that extra support. So I think that that would be an awesome resource for people of the community. I absolutely think that'd be great. And I think I think that's a good thing, man. That's a really good thing. It's like you have a heart for helping people. And I think that is, you know, that's your purpose.
It is.
So, yeah, you just have this thing you want to help, you know, that's your gift. So, you know, just keep right on, you know, curating that gift, keep right on growing it, keep right on maturing it, you know, and this guy is going to do awesome things. He's going to take you farther and farther, man, because you just really have a heart to help people, and you're helping his people.
Believe it. Thank you.
That's what he wants us to do.
Yes.
So we're definitely doing it. And I believe that he is well pleased with that. And I think that it is so important that, you know, people support people that are trying to do that, you know, because it's not easy. It's not an easy thing, you know, and working in mental health is heavy. You know, you're taking on sometimes that burden, that weight of other people, everybody. You're taking it on. So you have to make sure that you are releasing it and that you're doing what you need to do for you to continue to be strong enough to carry that, you know.
Absolutely.
And so it sounds like you're doing that. You're doing a good job. So I just applaud you, man. I just think it's awesome. I think that everything you're doing is just so totally awesome. So what are some other things that we can look forward to that you have coming up? Some events?
Yes. So what is this? This is May. So this is May. So June, really, I don't have much going on for June. May is really big for me because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So right now I am working on different things like social media wise. I do, you know, Mental Health Minute every day. I do My Mental Health Matters web series. So that is what I'm doing for the month of May. Right now I am in preparation for Fashion Week, which will be in October. So that is going to be huge for me, October 20th through the 25th. Then I'm going to be transitioning into the fall. In the fall, I will officially start the process of writing my first book. So I'm very excited about that. Yes. Very excited about that. And so that will be taking place. I also will be doing my second annual Belle of the Ball event, which is my girls empowerment event that I did last year. So that will be taking place in the fall. And I'm working on a women's retreat, which is a mental health retreat, also in the fall. So a couple things I'm working on. Way too much, but I'm busy.
Yeah, we gotta connect it because when that book is done, we're gonna have to bring you back. We're gonna have to talk about this book. We're gonna have to dive into it.
I'm
pull out some nuggets, honey, because I already know it's gonna be fire. So I'm ready. I'm ready. Absolutely. Okay, so like give us ways where people can contact you, your social media, give us your websites, anything where they can just kind of stay tuned to what you have going on.
Absolutely. So the easiest way to find me, I tell people all the time, is social media. I'm very heavy on social media. So I make it easy for everybody. So it's Shay Johnson on all platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, all of those, Shay Johnson. As far as on my websites, you can find me on Spotify with Love Shay, also on iHeartRadio, really all the streaming platforms for my podcast. If you are interested in fashion and you want to model or want to know more about that, the website is www.fashionweekhighpoint.com. And as far as my local people, my 252 family, I will be releasing the official flyer for Infield Fashion Week. So definitely, I want you to support that, come out, be a part of that process because it's going to be big for the city.
Man, that is awesome. All right, honey, I just want to thank you for blessing us today with these nuggets, honey. Thank you for just coming and sharing what you're doing in the community, what you're doing, you know, at work, professionally, personally. You have so many things going on, so many ways to help people, to educate people. And I just want to thank you. I really do want to thank you for all that you're doing. I want to thank you for blessing us today on my podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I know I'm not the little girl anymore.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy how these years have gone by so fast. I just feel like I've been in a whirlwind. So many things have been going on. So it's really good to see you. It's really good to know that you're doing great.
Yes.
You know, I wish you all the best, nothing but blessings. And I just pray that God will just continue to bless you and all that you're doing. And that's going to be it for today, guys. So until we meet again, Kimberly speaking. Thank you.
Thank you.